why did this job get upside down for a period of time?
Yeah.
You know, is that something you guys prepare for?
I don't really give up profit. What I do is I speed up production.
Hey everybody, welcome to ProfitDig Live. I'm Jeff Givens. I'm here with Christopher Work,
What's going on, guys?
Jeff Spencer,
Hey guys.
and as always, producer Jerry behind the camera. What's up, Jerry?
Hello.
Yep. Hey, guys, can we talk about rain?
Oh,
We got plenty to talk about, don't we?
Yeah, it's raining right now, like Forrest Gump levels of rain. No,
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
no,
But-
it's been constant.
Yep.
It has been. We had a drought for a while,
We did.
and it was really dry and dusty.
Yep.
Now it's just raining constantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I guess, what do you do with your crew, with your company, when you're in a season of rain?
Yeah, like I guess you can't just send them home and say, sorry guys, I can't pay you. I mean, you may have to do that to some folks, I guess. I don't know, but
Well, yeah, unfortunately you do a lot of times. And we try to, of course, we know that this time of year and going into spring, winter and spring both is a wet season for us here in Middle Tennessee. So we generally try to plan ahead and kind of try to, when you got plenty of work, you can do this. If you don't have plenty of work, it's tough to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we try to be selective on the areas that we're going to be working in, or bidding work in the wintertime to try to find rock jobs where we got shot rock.
okay.
Now, we don't expect our guys to work in pouring down rain, but if it has rained a few days, and even if it's a light rain, they'll still work as long as they're on rock, or maybe a street job. If you're working in the street somewhere and you got traffic shut down or narrowed down to one lane or two lanes or something like that, where your guys can work without making too much of a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we generally try to do, but it doesn't always work out. Right now, we just happen to have some jobs that was delayed getting started, and they started later than we anticipated. And we've actually got some guys working on some pretty decent dirt jobs. And so they have been inhabitable for the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So what we've had to do, we try to generate jobs for our guys. Short term, you can do that, but long term, it really gets into your budget because they got to charge their time to something, so it's got to be charged to a job
Yeah.
to cost after time. So you got to really watch how you do that, because you can bust your budget pretty quickly. If you got 2 or 3 weeks worth of time there, it's really wet, and you got your guys in, around the shop, straightening up, cleaning up, putting up fence, or organizing fittings, or stuff of that sort. And we
keep good news.
right.
I mean, down the road, when you look back and be like, why did this job get upside down for a period of time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had the guys in here, doing this, doing that, and had to charge their time somewhere. And also, if it's a utility job, and so you got some water lines and stuff of that nature, what we call like 3 ways, like you got a T and you got a valve on each side of the T. You may have that happen multiple times throughout the job. Or you got a fire hydrant, your fire hydrant has to have a valve on it. So what we'll do a lot of times is we'll set up a couple tents on the job site, have that material sitting there, and have some guys go out and start putting those together. That way they're prefabbed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then when you get to them, so you can actually charge your time to the job. You got your guys working, and you're not creating too big of a mess.
Yeah.
And that way they can do something productive for that job. That way it's not considered a waste of time. They got to do it sometime or another.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask about what sort of tools or equipment could you put on site. You mentioned a tent, but even in the rain, I guess, is that something you guys prepare for? That you have each crew has a tent?
No, they come to the shop and get a tent, or two. We have them at the shop. There again, it's still not going to alleviate the mud, but if it is raining, they can at least work and stay dry. And you've only got like one piece of equipment, that may be an excavator or a loader that's bringing materials to them to put together. So, you're not generating too big of a muddy area, to work in.
Respecting the landscape while
Right.
you're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you're preparing for, especially different rainy seasons, you never know, right, when it's going to be. But there are
Can't predict.
common times of the year that are rainier than others, that are wetter than others. Do you use any sort of predictive tools, like, I don't know, even something like a farmer's almanac or anything like that? Or?
No, I mean, we don't. I mean, there may be some people out there that do. You know, we just try to watch, you know, the extended forecast, you know, get a 7 to 10 day forecast, which about 85% of the time you can't depend on those either.
Well, and that doesn't really help you when you're bidding the job.
No, it doesn't.
No.
But we know in general, you know, like generally, June and July, more like July and August, going to be relatively dry.
Mm-hmm.
Usually October is our driest month of the year. You know, you can just about bet going all October,
Really?
you know, without just maybe 1 or 2 rains.
Yeah.
And that's relative to our
Region, our region,
Our
yeah.
region, yeah.
But we know that November, December, January, February, March, even into April, that's our wet season. That's what we consider our wet season. So we try to look at jobs that are going to be bidding, you know, that are going to be in areas where, you know, you've got a higher content of high rock, you know, or outcrops of rock. So, you know, there's going to be blasting, you know, there's going to be rock fill put in, the overburden's going to be stripped off. It's going to be a solid rock job. So you're going to have rock from one side to the other for the most part. So yeah, you know, your guys are not going to work in a pouring down rain, but they don't have to worry about mud. As soon as the rain stops, they can go to work. No harm, no foul. But those jobs aren't always available to bid. You know, those regions, you know, I'm talking about may not have, you know, a whole lot of work going on at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, you got to strategically try to look at, you know, the areas when you're bidding work like, hey, I'm going to go after this one hard. It's going to start, you know, in late November, early December, and I can keep our guys busy for 3 months there, you know, working on shot rock.
Yeah. Do you ever reduce your figures on a job like
I
that?
do.
Depending? Just
I do
like,
some, yeah.
Give me a better shot of
Yep.
getting this. So, you know,
If I've got a projected start date.
if you have a projected start date.
If I know for sure it's going to start, you know, somewhere in that wet season,
Yeah.
then, you know, I will.
You're willing to give up some profit.
I'm willing to, you know,
just to-
I don't really give up profit. What I do is I speed up production.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, that way on paper, you know, my profit stuff is always in there.
Okay.
But I still try to keep it in reach of the guys. You know, it's something that I know if they really bust their ass, this is a target they can achieve.
Yeah.
But, you know, typically, you know, there's 3 or 4 style jobs that we do, and I got different production rates for each one. And so I kind of got a good idea of what they're going to get on a rock site, you know, wide open rock site. And I'll speed that production up, you know, maybe 10, 15%
Okay.
to kind of lower my price. to
Lower
give
the
me-
price, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would guess, especially on like a larger project, because, you know, especially the kind of work y'all do where you're doing dirt work more than anything, you're doing underground work, you know, that's going to be before everything else. So you're kind of at the start of that train, right? Now, each day that's impacted by weather conditions that sets you guys back could potentially set back the entire project.
Yes, good.
But I would just say, I guess the question that I would ask is, you know, is there just kind of a, whether you call it a gentleman's agreement or just a standard practice that, look, if there's just an excessive amount of rain, like people have some grace there, or do you find that some people are strictly adhered to projected timelines?
Well, it all depends on how your contracts are written, which, you know, as a subcontractor, the GC, you know, they've got a contract with the owner. They've come to an agreement in their contractual agreement that, you know, they have a deadline they've got to reach.
Mm-hmm.
And so if our portion, you know, grade and excavation side is always one of the first things that happens.
Yeah.
So if we come in, or, you know, if our production slows down because of weather related issues, generally we have a liquidated damage clause in our contract. So if we go over our contract allotted timeline, then we have to pay so much per day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, we're talking about notes, it's really important to note, you know, your weather delays when you have them and how long it's too wet to work. And it's not a bad idea to get the GC or the owner's representative that's on site to sign off on your data report, you know, saying like, hey, look, you know, we had these rain day today, too wet to work, you know, whatever, get them to sign it.
Yeah, your daily
That way-
diary entry.
Yes. Yes, and then that way, you know, if you've got their signature somewhere on that page, they've agreed to everything you've written on that page. So it's not a bad practice to get, you know, to start doing that, because it doesn't happen very often, but you can end up in court or legal, you know, arguments about such things, and you're trying to avoid paying liquidated damages. And then, hey, not only did we think it was too wet to work, here's your representative that signed off on our notes saying it was too wet to work in their opinion also.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, more binding than like, oh, well, we looked at AccuWeather for this date, and it said that it didn't rain here. Well, I've had my phone tell me it was sunny outside, and I've looked out, and it's been pouring.
And it's always good, to have somebody from your company to make a site visit. Just because it's raining where you're at doesn't mean it's raining on a job site. We've had that happen several times. Go ahead and make that initial job site visit, assess it, and talk to the representative of the owner of the GC and like, hey, I'm out here. Looks like we've had a half inch of rain or inch of rain, whatever it may be, and it's just too wet for us to perform today. It's not safe.
Yeah.
And,
Right. I mean, that's the biggest concern
yeah,
is safety.
and we can't do the quality work that we need to do in these conditions. Because, you got trench backfill and stuff like that. You don't want to put a pipe in the ground and in a parking lot or road, and you got a year's warranty on that, and then 9 months later it settles because you put some wet material in there,
Yeah.
and now you're up there, taking up asphalt, trying to find out how deep the bad soil is.
Getting yourself into big man.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of things to take in that can affect your end of game deadline. But you can also get a change order to extend your time. And those are things, that you have to request, from the GC or the owner, like, hey, I'm sending in a request for a change because of weather delays. And you could generally do the math pretty easy. If you've got 6 months on this job, they'll generally give you like, so many weather days per month. So say they give you 15 weather days for a 6-month job. So, I mean, you can divide it up pretty quick and see how many days you got each month. So first month you have, you may hit half or more of those weather delays that's in your total contract in the first month. And like, hey, we need to go ahead and ask for more time because this could get out of hand pretty quick.
Yeah.
So so you just answered my question. I guess my question was, that doesn't influence the GC in terms of projects they're bidding on, in terms of time of year or whatever.
No, it doesn't. But and that's what the request for time is, or request for change is like, we hope that we can achieve this in the allotted time in our contract. But if we have weather delays, even though we're the first ones in, we're going to slow up when the builders start, the framers or structural guys, when they start doing their work, because now we've pushed them back, 3 or 4 weeks. So they're starting 3 or 4 weeks late. They may have some delays of their own, and then before you know it, it's just a kind of a chain reaction.
Effect, yeah.
Yeah, everybody, and what happens is like, these contractors have made agreements with other projects that we're going to start on a certain time.
Yeah.
So now we've pushed them back 3 or 4 weeks later, or a month, 5, 6 weeks later, maybe 2 months back from starting a project that they've already
A lot
got
of
under
collateral
contract.
damage there.
Yeah. Okay, well, in that situation, let's just say it went from bad to worse. Then are you, when things clear weather-wise and you're so many weeks behind, are you then looking to bring in a sub to help you knock out something? So you can...
It's not. It doesn't necessarily be a sub. It could be another crew that you might have available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've got other crews, I mean, if you're just a 1 or 2 man, 1 or 2 crew man, then you may have to look at a sub.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not uncommon when you do get behind, and they'll ask you those things like, hey, when the weather breaks, can you get us extra crew out here?
Yeah.
And so and if you say yes, most cases you better perform. You better get somebody out there. They're not going to let you forget that you made that agreement.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tricky, but once you get the hang of doing stuff like that, it's not all that bad. And the main thing is to be up front. Don't let it drag out to the last of the job, or when you start seeing that you may have a problem and start maybe in trouble.
Yeah.
And then like, well, why didn't you say something when we had all the rain delays? Why didn't you bring this up then?
Right. Yeah. Leave the wishful thinking at home.
Right. Yeah.
Or hopeful. Yeah.
But documentation's key. Make your site visits, get your owner's rep, superintendent, whatever he may be, project manager, whatever he may be that's on that project, get them involved, let them know like, hey, it's been raining all week. We've made multiple visits out here. Here's my notes for the week. If you agree with these, please sign my daily reports. That way you got documentation to back up, hey, it is legit. They could not work. It was not suitable working conditions.
Yep.
CYA clause. right?
CYA clause.
Yep.
That's right.
I like it. Well, man, good stuff, Jeff.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing as always. Yeah. Jeff Spencer, it's fun as always.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for tuning in to ProfitDig Live. My name's Chris Work. Hey, while you're here, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave some comments, let us know what you want to hear or want to talk about. If you're in construction, you obviously need the world's easiest to use job bidding and costing solution. Check us out, ProfitDig.com.
See you guys.